Greetings, everyone. Happy Friday. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. I wanted to give you my daily book update. I've got a new stack of books here ready to ship out. And again, I'm supporting Project Books Inc., which is a local nonprofit. What we do is collect unwanted books and try to find homes for these books where people want to read them and love them. So I'll get started with the stack. I have quite a few, and I'm hoping to make a shipment out tomorrow. So be sure and direct message me, share this video, let your friends know. I'm focused on doing these videos every day, and pretty soon I'll be starting to add some travel ones on my travel page. So here we go for books. Like I said, a lot of these I don't know the authors. I'm just picking them up and trying to find new homes for them. So this one is called She, and here's the cover, and it's H. Rider Haggard is the author, and it just says on the back, H. Rider Haggard has thrilled several generations with his bizarre tale of a lost African civilization, a 2,000-year-old queen, and the intrepid Englishmen who seek her. The story is wild, incredible, yet remarkably plausible. The ability to make the reader willingly suspend his disbelief is what makes Haggard the master of exciting and romantic fiction. On his 25th birthday, Leo opens the ebony box left to him by his father. Within the ebony box is a strange silver chest, which contains a letter from the elder Vinci and an ancient potsherd inscribed with a fantastic story by a mannered artist, an Egyptian princess, more than 300 years before the birth of Christ. So this book is available to ship out. So it kind of has you can see it's got some pictures, kind of an ancient civilization read with, and here's a photo, 32 illustrations inside. So a nice book for somebody who's interested in this type of read that kind of has an element of historical plausibility to it, and again, a little bit of mythicism. So that's this one. And then I have a book called My Mother's Secret. This one looks very interesting. It's inspired by a true story. It's Francesca and her daughter Helena are simple, ordinary people until 1939, when the Nazis invade their homeland. Providing shelter to Jews in Nazi-occupied Poland is a death sentence, but Francesca and Helena do exactly that. In their tiny home, they hide a Jewish family in a lot above their pigsty, a Jewish doctor with his wife and son in a makeshift cellar under the kitchen, and a defecting German soldier in the attic. Each party is completely unknown to the others. For everyone to survive, Francesca will have to outsmart her neighbors and the German commander. So the book is told from 4 different perspectives, all under one roof. And it's not a super big read. It is, let's see, it's got about, looks like about 195 pages. So even maybe for a high school student or one of your older kids that need something to read that has something to do with history that you can talk about and maybe discuss right now, since I know a lot of people are having to homeschool or teachers are having to come up with ways. I think history sometimes gets left out. I know my niece doesn't always get history. So anyone would like this book, right now it's up and it's available. So just direct message me and I'll be happy, like I said, to send it out media mail, and you can just reimburse me the cost of shipping. And a lot of the pages, like I said, you can tell it's not a huge, hard to read book. I bet it would be good for a lot of ages. It says it's based on a true Holocaust story, so that would make it even more appropriate. So there we go. That's book number 2. So book number 3, and like I said, these are no particular genre. This one says it's a novel. It's called Still Missing. And this one doesn't have, it's by Chevy Stevens, not familiar with this author. It is, let's see, like I said, I'll just read the back. On the day she was abducted, Annie, a 32-year-old realtor, had three goals: sell a house, forget about a recent argument with her mother, and be on time for dinner with her ever-patient boyfriend. The open house is slow, but when her last visitor pulls up in a van as she's about to leave, Annie thinks it might just be her lucky day after all. Interwoven with the story of the year, Annie spent captive in a remote mountain cabin, which unfolds through sessions with her psychiatrist, is the second narrative recounting the nightmare that follows her escape, her struggle to piece her shattered life back together, the ongoing police investigation into the identity of her captor, and the disturbing sense that things are far from over. Still Missing is a shocking, brutal, and beautifully crafted novel about surviving the unsurvivable, and living to bear witness. The author grew up on a ranch on Vancouver Island and still calls the island home. When she's not working on her next book, she's hiking with her husband and dog in the local mountains. And Chevy is a woman, and this is actually her first novel. So this book sounds like almost like it was ripped from the headlines. I remember I don't know how many years ago, about reading about a story about a woman realtor in Iowa that vanished, disappeared. I don't know, unfortunately, whatever happened to the rest of that story. But for people that kind of like something thrilling like that, this might be a good read for you. I don't need to see anything like that. Unfortunately, my mind works too crazy. So this one, again, just direct message me and I'll be able to ship it out. It's about 360 pages long. This next book is called Gentleman Jack, which on the front it says it's an HBO original series. So I don't know if some of you might be familiar with this series. I have no idea. It says it's classified under biography. It's about the real Anne Lister. And it says Anne Lister was extraordinary, fearless, charismatic, and determined to explore her lesbian sexuality. She forged her own path in a society that had no language to define her. She was a landowner, an industrialist, and a prolific diarist whose output has secured her legacy as one of the most fascinating figures of the 19th century. Gentleman Jack follows Anne from her crumbling ancestral home in Yorkshire to the glittering courts of Denmark as she resolves to put past heartbreak behind her and find herself a wife. The book introduces the real Gentleman Jack, featuring unpublished journal extracts decrypted for the first time by series creator Sally Wainwright and writer Anne Choma. I might have mispronounced that name. So if this subject matter appeals to you, or if you know someone that might be interested in it, the book looks like, again, it's like in excellent condition, like it's barely been opened, and it's available to send out to whoever might be interested in taking a read. So next up, and like I said, these are random. I have really no idea what's in the box I picked up. It is Monica Alley, and it's by Alan Tejo Blue. That's the author. And let's see. It is, says Monica is one of Granta's Best of Young British Novelists of the Decade, Newcomer of the Year at the 2004 British Book Awards, and has been nominated for most of the major literary prizes in Britain. Her first novel, Brick Lane, was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, the George Orwell Prize for Political Writing, and the prestigious Commonwealth Writers' Prize. The author lives in London with her husband and two children and is working on her next novel. So let's see what this book, okay, on the back it says, for some, Mamarosa is a place you merely pass through. For others, it is somewhere from which you want to escape. Some people come here to disappear. A small town in rural Portugal, it is on the way to other places, but you rarely stop there, and those who do usually have a reason. Men and women and children and old people all tell their stories piece by piece. Tourists, expatriates, and in so doing assemble the story of the town itself, a tale of exile and belonging, rich with resonance and regret. Doesn't really say if this is, let me see if there's any more information. Here there's some acknowledgments in the back, which may shed a little bit of more light on this, because I'm not getting maybe everything we need to know if this interests you. It says, this is neither a history book nor a travel book, but only a work of fiction. All right. Readers who want to find out more about Portugal might like to turn to two books that combine history and travel to great effect. So she does recommend other books about Portugal. And this is more I would like to thank Grant. She thanks a bunch of people for introducing her to the pleasures of the Portuguese countryside. Liliana for her heroic attempts to teach her Portuguese, and others for their attention to detail. So it is supposed to take place in Portugal, and it is a work of fiction. And let me just flip to a page and see if any of this intrigues you. Well, here, right from the first chapter 1. At first he thought it was a scarecrow, coming outside in the tired morning light to relieve his bladder, blessing as always the old Judas tree. Joaya turned his head and saw the dark shape in the woods. It took some time to zip his trousers. His fingers were like enemy agents. They pretended to be his instruments, but secretly worked against him. He walked out beneath the moss-skinned branches, thinking only this: 84 years upon the earth is an eternity. He touched Rui's boots. They almost reached the ground. My friend, he said, let me help you. He waited for the courage to look up and see his face. When it came, he whispered in his lacerated old man's voice. It sounds like a word of greeting, but like I said, I don't know Portuguese either. So it sounds like an interesting read and would maybe interest you in Portugal, as apparently it has other readers to this book. So this one's available. And let's see what else do I have. This one is the Bennett Playbill, Bennett and Kibi. This one may be an autobiography. See. 5 generations of the famous theater family. This is the story of a star and her equally famous family. Joan Bennett writes of her own life and recalls the fame of 5 generations of acting tradition, a tradition that spanned 2 continents and more than 200 years of theater history. The family tree begins with great-great-grandfather Will Wood, who was a strolling player in 18th century England, and branches out to include all the generations, most especially Joan's famous father. Richard Bennett's career in the American theater is legendary. Handsome, high-spirited, and unpredictable, he was constantly in and out of newspaper headlines. Joan Bennett became one of Hollywood's most prominent stars after her first movie in 1929. Her screen career was abruptly ended 22 years and 65 films later by the personal disaster of the Walter Wanger Jennings Lang shooting in 1951. She salvaged her career by turning her to legitimate theaters, and is now seen daily on the daytime serial Dark Shadows. So some of you may know this woman, Lois, here at the back. So she's an actress, director, and writer. She has appeared in 300 plays and directed 50 stage productions. This is her second book, and she is currently working on a third. So probably a very interesting read and a true story. This is part of her family on the back. And there is a section, as most biographies will, include some interesting photos in the middle, like old Hollywood stars. Let's see. Oh, here's one with Bing Crosby. So a lot of us are familiar with Bing Crosby. So that's a picture apparently with her and Bing Crosby. So it's a hardcover book in excellent shape, and it's ready to ship out. So just let me know. Oh, wow. Next up, another biography or someone writing about someone else. It's William. And we all know who William is. King for the 21st century. The one that married Meghan Markle. Charming, dashing, sensitive, intelligent in their moment of crisis, the royal family could hardly have wished for a finer representative. Combining the easy charm of his mother with a very real sense of royal decorum and duty, Prince William has endeared himself to the world as the brightest hope for the monarchy's future. Well, we do know this book was most definitely written before he married Meghan, but I'm sure it's a very interesting read. And looks like it has 8 chapters, about 250 pages. Some photos in the middle of William. And the last chapter, it looks like this book takes us up to basically now William is 18 and a new life opens up before him. He is fully aware that as heir to the throne, his life will be dictated by duty and by the demands of expectations of the nation. What a turn this young man's life has taken in the last few years, and it'll be interesting to see what life holds for this young man. This is probably a very interesting read, and again, something that probably a high school student or junior high might enjoy reading and could be a topic of discussion. Here's some photos of Princess Diana and the boys, or any of us that remember the amazing royal wedding of Charles and Diana. I know I stayed up or got up early. I don't even remember which now at this point. I asked to get up just so I could sit there in front of the TV and watch the wedding. It was quite, I don't know, it seemed important at the time, right? So, looks like an interesting read, and it is in excellent condition. So, again, just direct message me if you're interested in this book. We've got time for a couple more books. Let's see, I've got the next 2 in the stack. It looks like a mystery and another one that says it's a national bestseller. So why don't we start? I'm glad these are a little lighter reads today. Sometimes there are a lot of heavy books I've been picking up, and this one says it is Squirrel Meets Chipmunk. And on the back, it says, somebody mentioned wickedly funny, outrageous, wonderful, anthropomorphized creatures may seem domesticated, but this book is wildly inspired and a rip-roaring hoot. I'm just flipping through it. I love some of these drawings, these cartoons. I'll hold those up there. This one, The Faithful Setter. Back before I met her, my wife lived on a farm. It was a small operation, organic vegetables, pick your own strawberries, and a dozen or so chickens. Each and every one of them, to hear her tell it, an absolute raging. It's got a bad word there if you have kids listening. The first time she said this, I laughed, and as I'd always thought that word was reserved for males. The same goes for another word, which she uses for females all the time. This raccoon, for example, that sometimes gets into our garbage cans. Can you believe the nerve of that blank? She'll say to me, her nose pressed against the dining room window. And then she'll bark. And then she'll yell at the animal to go do something to someone else's yard. So it looks like just a fun read about animals and how what we think might go through their minds, how they act, and there's different ones. This one's the toad, the turtle, and the duck. So I think we all need some humor and light right now. So this might be a really fun read. Says it's delightfully bizarre. It's an animal kingdom more like us than we could ever know. Let me see if there's any other information about it. For my sister, the parenting storks, the crow and the lamb, all kinds of animals. Breathing owl. It's probably, if you have kids, it's probably okay to read with them or have them read to you. I came across, there's just a couple of bad words, but probably nothing they haven't already heard in school. The vigilant rabbit. I suppose this is the rabbit my dad is always encountering that's eating his vegetables. He's always after the rabbits when they're chewing on things they shouldn't be. So anyways, Squirrel Meets Chipmunk sounds like a fun read, so it's available. And my last book, since we are heading towards, the 5 o'clock hour, is The Long Quiche Goodbye, a cheese shop mystery. So if anyone is familiar with the Cheese Shop Mystery series, this is, says it's first in a new series, and it has recipes included. So sounds like an interesting, maybe fun read. I see a signature in the front, but I'm not sure. Oh, well, it does look like it's signed by the author to someone. So someone donated this, and there's the author's signature in the front. So for someone that enjoys the author, Avery Ames, it might be nice to have this one as it has the signature in there. Seeing if there's any more information. All right, well, I'll just read the back. It says, welcome to the grand opening of Fromagerie Bizette, or as it's more commonly known by the residents of small town Providence, Ohio, the cheese shop. Proprietor Charlotte has prepared a delightful sampling of bold Cabot cloth-bound cheddar, delicious torts of Stilton and mascarpone, a taste of Sauvignon Blanc, and for the piece de resistance, a little crime of passion. Charlotte has barely begun melting like fondue in front of a handsome artisanal cheese supplier named Jordan when a blood-curdling shriek disrupts the activities. Right outside the shop, Charlotte finds a body. The victim, stabbed to death with one of her prized olive-handled knives. Wow. What an intriguing read if you like mysteries and maybe like cheese and food. And it does mention recipes. So let me see where those recipes get included, because just flipping through it, I wasn't seeing the recipes. So I don't know if someone took them out or if they're kind of speckled within the pages. Let's see. She thanks all of the wonderful cheese and wine shops she's visited over the past year for the tastings and insider information. Thank you to Amish Tours of Ohio for introducing her to the Amish culture. So that sounds interesting. I would imagine, since I'm not seeing the cheese recipes in here, maybe there is a link to the website, or maybe when you start to read it, maybe it's, I'm not really. It says the author loves to cook and enjoys a good wine. She speaks a little French and has even played a French woman on stage. I don't see the recipes as they mentioned wherever I saw that on here, but still seems like a fun read. So be sure and direct message me if you're interested. Like I said, I will send it out to you. So hope everyone's having a wonderful Friday and a great Friday evening. It's pretty sunny and nice right here, so I should head out and try to get a walk in. So take care, share this video, and be sure and let me know if there's a particular author or genre of book that you're looking for. I have quite a few boxes of books available to me because I am, again, supporting nonprofit Project Books, Inc. And so in order to help with space, since we don't have our normal spring event, I'm trying to push these books out. So take care, everyone. I'll try to have a new video up on Saturday or at the very latest Monday. So take care then, and be well, and eat some good food. Take care. Good night.